Yeah, makeup on. I think that's how we do it. I don't recognize what yeah, no, I
Oh, yeah, that's what they call me. Yeah.
Did you reply back?
I know, I just thought I walked up there. Like confirmation, you know? Like a big cursor back.
And you got the big sheet.
Okay, so just the
And that's your score sheet, and you have other issues. AKA. We can amend it or pass it. We just need to follow absolutely without it. No, we have to have a hearing to do it.
Okay, welcome to the Village of Campson Hills. It's July 29th, 2025, 7 o'clock p.m. Kim, we're all good? Good. Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Benetti? Here. Trustee Boatner?
Here.
Trustee Burson?
Here.
Trustee Muir? Here. Trustee Hoppelsberger?
Here.
President Wodnicki?
Present.
And Trustee Millett is absent, but will be here later.
Okay. Thank you. Please rise for the pledge, and Frank, please lead us pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it looks like nobody signed up for public comments. Is there any public comments? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to, I'm moving 5B up to right after 3, which is Officer of the Month, Detective Eric Roskins, and I'll let James take the floor.
Thank you. Detective Roskins has worked in law enforcement for about 17 years. He's played a vital role in the improvements and updates to our investigation unit, along with Detective Ober. Detective Roskins not only handles his daily responsibilities and assignments, but also assists patrol officers in their investigations and warrants. His Detective Roskins also has additional responsibilities, including handling our sex offender registration file, FOID and concealed carry reviews through the Illinois State Police. Detective Roskins serves as department liaison and participates in ILEAS on the field force team, which requires additional specialty training. ILEAS, or the Illinois Law Enforcement Alarm System, provides rapid, organized, and disciplined response to civil disorder and public safety emergencies. Some of the responsibilities of ILEAS include security at sensitive sites, evacuation services related to weapons of mass destruction, isolation of large civil disorder crowds, dispersing unruly crowds, and responding to requests for assistance from other states. As a member of ILEAS, our agency can request and activate ILEAS at any time, which provides additional manpower and resources. Considering all the great things Detective Roskins does for the police department and the community, probably most impressive, and I know anyone in this building that knows him would vouch for this, is his positive attitude, willingness to always help others, and his hard-to-ignore laugh, which no matter how bad of a mood I am in, his laugh makes me laugh. So, like, Eric is a giant man, and I would not want to be on the wrong side of Eric, but he is a great human being with a big heart. Detective Roskins was recommended not only by me, but other members of the agency for the recognition. So I'd like to congratulate Detective Eric Roskins for being named June 2025 Officer of the Month.
Want to say anything, Eric, or?
No, I appreciate it. No.
Thank you.
I was just saying, in my 30 years in this business, I've never come across a police officer that always, in any situation, sees the bright side or the positive side in it and deals with everything in a positive way. Instead of, despite how negative people could be in their worst moment, he never lets it get under his skin, and he's just a huge morale builder for the whole building.
Oh, that's very nice.
Thank you. You guys can depart.
Congratulations, Eric.
Thanks for your family coming by.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll accept a motion to move the consent agenda. Moved by Janet, second by Frank. Roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Gottner?
Hi.
Trustee Gerson? Aye. Trustee Huffenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Hi.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to staff reports, we have the police report from our Chief Levand.
Thank you. Last meeting, I had left, so I forgot a few basic pointers, but when I gave you guys the June monthly report, there was 476 calls for service, 20 accidents, 137 citations, 3 arrests, with one of them being a felony. I've had numerous calls on this asking why the road was closed. The police department had a serious motorcycle accident on Burlington, west of Nancy, Saturday evening. It involved one motorcycle, no other vehicles. The questions were, why was Route 47 closed between Burlington and McDonald, and that was so the helicopter could land and take the patient to Downard Borough. Surprisingly, considering how the accident occurred and how it ended up, which I've never seen in my 22 years in law enforcement, that he did have some internal injuries, but he's going to survive and he's gone through the surgeries. So that is good on that end, but that was the reason for the road closure. Detective Roskins, Detective O'Birth have been busy, spending a lot of time and resources working on a death investigation that recently occurred. The police department will be assisting this Saturday with traffic control for a motorcycle ride fundraiser. It'll be coming through the village not once but twice. They'll first be traveling west on 64, and then a couple hours later they'll be returning east on Silver Glen Road, so they requested our assistance, which we'll gladly provide because it's for children's cancer. The police department's been getting ready for the new school year. It begins on August 13th, so we're only a couple weeks away. This will obviously pick back up the traffic both over in Fox Mill and around Wasco. The police department has received some complaints over the last few months about golf carts, particularly in the Fox Mill subdivision. The department has been addressing this, so we have paid visits to a few residents that do have golf carts. We have done inspections on golf carts, confirming that they have registration, insurance, that they have all the required safety equipment. So the police department takes it seriously when we get it, but we also want to be fair in it. And that as long as someone is operating something safely, that is not breaking the law, has the insurance, has the registration, we don't have an issue unless it becomes a safety issue. But we have been doing visits to residents and making sure everything complies. I've been working with Village Attorney Forte on an ordinance addressing complaints and concerns about low-speed electric bikes and scooters. We're still in the process of that. We're almost finished with some educational material and advertising that's going to go out to the community first. Hopefully that will help a little bit. I did fail to mention at the last meeting, I didn't give credit to Attorney Forte during our RFP process for the towing contract, which was extremely long. We have never done that previously, so he was a huge help in that, including getting the RFP together. So I just wanted to give him credit because I know I didn't do that at the last meeting, so I appreciate it. And then I also want to give credit, because I'm just feeling like in a generous mood tonight, as you can tell, that I want to credit Trustee Burson and Muir, because they volunteered their time and their expertise. We've had massive issues with the TVs, the projector, ever since the remodel. And sometimes it's slightly embarrassing because we host training classes here. We have 2 of them coming up for NEMR. And we get instructors in here, we get 30 officers from other departments. The TVs keep going out, it doesn't work. It's way beyond me, I'm not an IT person, but the work they did is amazing. It has simplified the process for us. Everything now works in here like it should. And I've even been informed that we now have a working microphone over there that doesn't die every 5 minutes. So I just wanted to thank them because they did that on their own time, and it's a big help to the police department and all our training. One final thing is National Night Out is this coming Tuesday, August 5th, 5 to 8 p.m. And once again, it'll be at the church up in Fox Mill, LaFox. This year there's over 40 vendors, 8 first responder agencies, Superior Airmen, and we have a helicopter landing, magician, face painter, petting zoo, fire department vehicle extrication demonstration, free hot dogs from Jimmy's Red Hots, chips, beverages, cotton candy, ice cream, Italian ice, and popcorn. We'll also have appearances from Skates, the Chicago Wolves mascot, Ozzie and Andy from the King County Cougars, and the Chick-fil-A cow. Each attendee that goes to the event will receive a raffle ticket that will be good for a free drone giveaway at the end of the night. The village does have a table at the event. I know in past years I see many of our trustees there with their families, so hopefully again this year the trustees will once again come out with their families. Of course, the village president, she has to be there, she has no choice. So, and interact with the community. Last year we had over 3,000 visitors attend. I do want to give credit to Officer Sina Stavi and the Community Relations Committee for all their hard work in putting the event together. If we just don't get no rain and we have good weather, I know it will be a success. And then once again, I'd like to thank Attorney Forte and Kleinthorpe and Jenkins, because once again this year they helped sponsor the event. So a big thank you to them. And that was all my good compliments
And
for the evening.
you forgot the highway department, all the touch-up trucks are all in one spot in case it rains, they're in the parking lot.
I'm still dealing with this today. Yes, there will be a touch of truck show with a bunch of trucks there, and Camden Township Highway Department will be there in a good location so they can advertise their equipment.
And the fire.
They don't complain to me.
So everyone will be in a good location.
All right, any questions or comments for Chief? Okay, moving right along. Well, 6, action item, motion to approve ordinance 25-26, adopting the Village of Kempton Hills Comprehensive Plan 2025. Do I have a motion? Move it on the floor for discussion. Moved by Mike, second by Kim.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Or discussion, I'm sorry, discussion.
Kim, you want to go first, because we put in front of everybody you did a super good job as an editor in catching spelling, punctuation, formatting, and I think that's the big piece of paper in front of everybody, and Jim Brown and I spoke today, and he said, I will correct, and then elaboration needed on the town center. That's an issue that was a split decision with the Planning and Zoning Commission. They ended up leaving it in, but there was a strong feeling that it should come out because it was a controversial thing many years ago, and it's not going to get built in that location because there is no room at the Wasco Sanitary and Water District, and it wasn't placed down at the consideration of the annex property down by the Fox train station. So there was a kind of an idea that it's kind of redundant, and some people firmly believe it should have stayed because it's just a placeholder, but it didn't say that. It kind of still targets that area by the traffic circle and that farmland to be a town center mixed-use development, and that was not the intention. And Jim said, hey, elaborate on that. I didn't put that in with the right flavor coming from the commission. They split 4-3 to keep it, but they wanted to explain it in a little context. So that is that item, and then you can see on your piece of paper there, there was the question about the mobile home and other area. Jim said, make sure the board understands the PZC could not figure that out either. I was supposed to add a note that we deemed these data points incorrect from the 2012 document, and I didn't make that clear, so make sure you tell them we think it was just some kind of sampling error that they did back when you got assistance from the planners at CMAC downtown. And then Appendix B, he said, true, I need to figure out the best way to remove that. A couple of options, but most are very time consuming. So, and that's the issue of, making it look more professional with the binding removed and how it can be rescanned and showing it and aligning things throughout the document. So he's working on that, especially when you download it electronically, it looks one way, and when you print it, it's different. So he's aware of that, and he's trying to figure out how to correct some of that. So that being said, then.
Okay,
If
go ahead.
and one other item on here, in the land use section for commercial section, I really would like to see motor vehicle sales actually just removed. I know it's a boilerplate, but our zoning ordinance doesn't allow it, so why have it there? It just produces people saying, well, you can put a car dealership right over there across from Volvo.
Good point. Okay, Janice, go ahead.
Do you want to get a consensus on everybody at this point on that one too?
Take that out. Yeah. Do we have consensus to remove that?
All right, then I will add that to the list.
And the motor vehicle?
Yes, yes, the car sales. Okay, Janice, go ahead.
Well, firstly, I would like to recognize the really, really good work of the Planning Commission and our Building and Zoning Officer, James Brown, in updating the 2012 document and bringing some new information into it. I think it's, on the whole, I think it's fantastic. So I think we really have to take a moment to make sure that we're clear on that, before we get into the things that we're concerned about, right? And so, I also noted a number of typos, which is to be expected in a document of this size, and so I will pass those along to BZO Brown for correction. They're not consequential to the text; they're just typos. My larger concern, and I have a whole bunch of pages that I turned back in this document that I would like to talk about, but keeping in mind the limited time that we have amongst ourselves and with the public, I think my overarching concern is that we are planning for 20 years. And we're planning for 20 years within our planning boundary, not within our municipal boundary. And, I mean, obviously within our municipal boundary, but beyond that, to our planning boundary. And unless I'm mistaken, in this document, even our planning boundary isn't quite correct, because we approved the boundary agreement with Burlington that would change this planning boundary as it's depicted in this document. And so of all the things that need to be correct, the maps need to be correct, and that's not correct. But more importantly, within that planning boundary, that I would really like to feel the weight of this document, and I don't. I feel like it's very, very well considered within the village limits that we all know and love, but when we consider what our planning boundary is and where that boundary is under threat in terms of something as simple as your long view as you're going down the road, that's where, for me, that it's lacking. And I think I suspect that there may not have been enough direction on that on the larger and longer planning direction, with the Plan Commission. I don't know, but I would really, however it is that we do it, my understanding is that we can make changes that we feel are appropriate to this document, and so we have a little, what do we have, about 5 weeks now, 5-6 weeks or something for this thing?
You can do it anytime, but if you do it after the 18th of September, we have another hearing.
Which I'm not averse to, because the other thing that jumped out at me multiple times in the document is there was reference to workshops held in the past. And I was really glad that those workshops were held, and I was really glad that we had reference to that. Unfortunately, we don't have recent workshops. We were rushed in this process, and we managed to get a comprehensive plan out and hearing held by June, but we just didn't really take the time, it seems like, to fully engage the public in the process so that we could hear from them. And so perhaps we can get public input before the September date, or perhaps we just have another public hearing, which I don't mind either. But this is a 20-year planning document, right? It's the horizon of it, and I don't feel like it looks out 20 years. And then specifically when we look at the map, we see a lot of attention paid to the south border because that's what we know that there's significant development activity right now, right? But there's no attention at all paid to the Route 47 corridor or the Plato Road corridor, which is now our northern boundary, right? And so, to me, these are areas we need to look at. We need to be thinking as a village about what would we like to see. We don't know what landowners are going to want to do and all of that sort of stuff. But we haven't expressed in this document what we would like to see along like Route 47 and Plato as an alternative to an Amazon warehouse. We've said we just want to keep farms, but we're not going to keep farms. We'd love to, but we're not going to. And if we say, reflexively that we just want to keep the farms, you're going to end up with Amazon warehouses. more or less. So I'd like to explore what it is that we really want in some of these areas that we wish could say agricultural, but they're not all gonna. And so, you know, I could give you a lot of specific examples, but that's spoken a long time, and so my concerns are a little more global with this plan.
Okay, who's next? Frank?
Yeah, I would just like a little bit more time to absorb it,
Mhm.
and, you know, not necessarily that we need to go into another public hearing or anything like that, but, you know, as being fairly new, just kind of envision what the impact is down the road. So I'm not saying that we need to push it, you know, past the 18th. I think we maybe should get it done before then, but I would just like a little bit more time to kind of absorb everything that's presented, because there is quite a bit, and it is a long-term document. So.
Okay, good. Anybody else? No, Teresa Smythe, no?
Nick, go. Oh, I didn't even realize you were going. You sure?
Nick, go.
Hey, so I'm gonna sort of echo what Janet had said, and I think that the workshops may be a good solution, because my question last week to Mr. Brown was that 2.5 to 3.5 homes per acre, that density, and after I was kind of contemplating that after the meeting, it still concerns me, because that conservation style neighborhood, where you kind of put all the density in one area and then you preserve larger open spaces, still trying to wrap my brain around how that would work with the, you know, the issue that we have with the Wasco Sanitary District. You know, where is this density? How are we going to deal with water and sewer if that's kind of our comp plan for you know, our boundaries, like what you were explaining, Janet. You know, it seems to me, if you were to ask me without looking